Gi, no gi. Training. What are the benefits? What are the reasons? And what should be your mindset as you climb through the curriculum? The advantages of training with the gi on. What are they?
I think number one is the comfort of having this cloth around you. You can always be controlled much easier. So I enjoy the fact that somebody who might be bigger, heavier, and stronger than me can use my gi to pin me down and control me, and it helps me become more comfortable faster in training.
Yeah, and not only can they control heat on better, but technically they have more submission opportunities as well. They can go for chokes, they can grab and hold them in different ways and execute submissions with greater ease because of that control, right? So the benefit for Ryron to train with the gi on is the defensive benefit. His escapes and his submission counters will grow rapidly by training with the gi on. So the defensive aspect is very good. Now, the offensive aspect with the gi on is fun because you have more options. When I'm training with Ryron, we have gis on, I can choke, I can do this, I can do that, I can do many more things to him than if he had no gi on. So it's a more playful and more fun offensive aspect, more challenging defensive aspect. So basically there's just more techniques that are possible. So it makes it a more dynamic training session. So, the benefits. Training with the gi, your survival skills are greatly enhanced. Your survival and submission counter skills and your escape skills because they have so much control and submissions against you. Those are the gi benefits. What are the no gi training benefits? No gi.
For me, you wearing no gi, my control has to be much tighter, right?
Right.
Because the ability to hold Rener down with him wearing no gi, I better be really tight.
Yeah.
And on top of controlling, to submit you with no gi on,
everything's just very slippery.
Also 10 times more difficult. Because I can control his elbow right here, but with no gi on, I'm holding the arm, it's going to slip out 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Especially when he knows what's coming.
Yes, indeed. And the friction, just the sheer friction, like when you get for someone in a triangle, or you go for a foot lock or an arm lock, the friction when there's gi there is very, very helpful to the person on the offensive. So, there you have it. Training no gi, the benefit is for the attacker, for the person who's on the offense, it's much more challenging because you don't have anything to grab onto. You have to modify your grips and whatnot, and the submissions are much slipperier, much more slippery, and therefore more challenging to achieve. So,
I think no gi is a little more tiring too, right? Because it's so slippery and there's less control, you might get exhausted in 10 minutes, and if you were wearing gis, it might be 15, 20 minutes.
That's a good point.
There's so much more movement, right? With the gi on, there's almost like, once in a while with the gi on, we both kind of just chill. You hold, you look at each other. But with no gi on, we only chill if we both are extremely comfortable where we land.
Yes.
And usually if someone's in the bottom, with no gi, they have the ability and the option to go crazy and possibly slip out. And a lot of times they do, and that helps exhaust them, and it exhausts me to have to always be controlling you.
That's a good point. So that, again, the fact that it's more exhausting to go no gi is another benefit to that. And another reason why a lot of people prefer to train just with the gi on. You have to do both. You just have to be comfortable. The bottom line is your black belt, or even your purple belt, or even your first stripe on your blue belt, can't be just based on what you're wearing. You can't be just a first stripe blue belt in gi or no gi. We need to make sure that you're comfortable no matter what you're wearing, especially as you climb the ladder. It doesn't matter. You're going to be out on the street, and let's say you're wearing a hooded sweater or a coat or whatever, and you get in a fight, and someone grabs your sleeve or your jacket while they're punching you in the face. If their grab on your jacket immobilizes you, and you're like, man, what do I do? You start to try to strategize how you're going to deal with that now. It's too late. You have to know how to deal with that grab from years and years of practice of people grabbing you. So, go ahead.
I was just saying, how do you deal with it? You don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You let them hold you, you just run in and grab the other arm. The problem is the other arm punching you.
So major. So, you have to train with the gi to make sure that you're ready for anything. Anyone grabs you. Your defensive, your survival skills are enhanced with the gi on. And your control and submission skills, your offensive skills, are greatly sharpened by no gi practice because you have so few options. Like basically, when I train with Ryron no gi, I can hardly catch anything. I might get 50% of a submission if he's trying for real, right? I might get 50% of my way towards 2 submissions. The rest of them, he slips out, no catch, no nothing. When he puts the gi on, I might get, 75% of the way there on 4 submissions. So you really appreciate the ability to grab onto something by training no gi. So the benefits bounce back and forth in so many ways. The bottom line is, though, you have to become comfortable with both, and your success or failure can't be reliant on what you're wearing or what they are wearing. You have to be sharp from all angles. Now, in the curriculum, generally speaking, when a technique that we are teaching to you does not rely on the gi, if it doesn't rely implicitly on the use and you don't need the gi to do it, we teach it no gi, as you can tell if you've been going through the lessons, the master cycle lessons, right? Gi pants, t-shirt, or a dry fit, and that's how we teach the technique, because we want you to see that, look, even without the gi, you can use this. But guess what? With the gi on, you can use it as well. And chances are, sometimes with the gi on, it kind of changes the technique and it makes it a little bit even more effective. Like, what's an example of a no-gi technique that can apply gi or no gi that when you have the gi on, because of the new grips you have, is enhanced? Can you think of any?
An arm lock.
Yeah.
So an arm lock from the bottom of the guard, you can control the wrist or can cut behind the elbow or hold behind the elbow. But when the gi is added, you can grab the cloth.
Yeah, exactly. And that's anytime you grab a wrist or an elbow, you could grab the sleeve or the sleeve, So if we teach you a technique, let's say, because I would say for the first stripe blue belt curriculum, what percentage of the techniques do you think, just random guess, rely on the gi, are impossible without the gi?
10%.
10, maximum 12, 15%, which means 90% of the curriculum from blue belt first stripe is no gi, meaning it doesn't need the gi to be applied. Now, even though that's the truth, you should be training in those classes. You can throw your gi on. In half of the blue belt first stripe classes, just throw the gi on, even if it's a no gi technique. Practice it while wearing the gi and see what other elements pop up when you start grabbing each other and making it harder. Let's say during the rapid mastery drill, right? It might be where he starts challenging, your training partner starts challenging you, and one of the things they can do to challenge and make life more difficult is start to grab you here, or grab your pants, or grab this, or grab that. Start to explore how the gi would change the game a little bit, okay? And we're going to leave that up to you. We just, generally speaking, we chose not to put the gi on at random, too much at least. We do a couple times, but too much, because we wanted you to see if the technique does not rely on the gi, we wanted to show it to you without the gi. But you still have to practice that technique with the gi on, because let's say you're doing the technique in a street fight and you're wearing a jacket, someone might grab that jacket. So technically, all the no-gi techniques should be practiced with the gi on eventually. Fair deal?
You said 10% of the blue belt first stripe curriculum is gi. We said that more or less.
Yeah, it might be like a cross choke.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? For the guard, for the back, bow and arrow choke. Those things you need the lapel to grab onto. And by the way, real quick, even though people don't wear gis, don't forget this, please.
Yes.
Even though people don't wear gis in the street fight, your opponent won't be wearing a gi. All these things we're teaching you with the gi could be used if they're wearing a coat, a jacket, a hooded sweater, even a collared t-shirt. You can do a cross choke on. Okay? So don't think that, why are we learning all these chokes or grabs or sleeve controls? Because in a street fight, if they have that, you can use it. Now, if they don't have it, you don't use it. You have other options, but still, it's a possibility.
First stripe curriculum, 10%. We teach with the gi stuff. Gracie combatives, how many techniques require the gi? 0%.
We did that on purpose.
Second stripe curriculum, a couple more gi.
Yeah.
As we move high up and up in the master cycle, we're going to teach more and more gi techniques.
Yeah, good point.
Because we want you to become extremely comfortable in training with somebody with the gi on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, there are a lot of techniques that do utilize the gi, but offensively, we don't want you guys to become reliant on it this early stage. Gracie combatives, you don't rely on the gi at all. There is no gi, right? We just had you train with a t-shirt and shorts or pants, because if you got in a fight, we want you to know that no matter what they are wearing, you can prevail. But now you can see there's another element to that. There's another element. It would not be foolish to practice Gracie combatives wearing the gi. Why?
They know why.
I already told you the answer.
I know.
40 seconds ago.
They do. So we're moving up. We're adding a little more gi every step of the way.
And yeah, the most important thing that we want you guys to understand is even if it's a no-gi technique, that lesson would benefit greatly. You would benefit greatly from doing that lesson with the gi on. So just mix it up some days. Even though if we're not wearing the gi, put your gi on and understand the benefit is it may be more challenging for you to execute that technique if they're grabbing and holding you, number one. Number two, there might be something you can add to the technique if the person is wearing, right, sleeve, clothing, whatever. If they are wearing that, there might be something you can add to the technique that wasn't discussed in the lesson, and your control could be enhanced if you have the gi. So offensively, you can add a detail. And defensively, you're going to learn what it's like when someone's grabbing you during that technique.
So what do you prefer, gi or no gi?
Good question.
It's too long of an answer, bro. Just say it.
I know, bro. But
what do you prefer?
You wanted me to have the right answer, you know?
There is no wrong or right answer.
I think the situation, I prefer training with the gi on because it allows for more opportunities from both sides. I think it's more fun. It's more fun.
It is more fun.
If me and Ryron are sparring with the gi on, there are more concerns for me and there are more opportunities for me. It's just, there's more people in the party, just more fun. But you don't want to become reliant on it. So I do train no gi to make sure that I never need the gi too much.
You know what you really like though, is you like the idea of you wearing the gi and me wearing no gi. Because then you have to A, be very defensive and survive, and I can control you a lot.
Dang, fun.
And it's more difficult for you to control me and to submit me. So you get the best of both worlds.
You don't just expose the ultimate gi no gi exercise. Wow. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Wearing a gi, you're going to learn to be so much more patient, right?
Yes, because
your philosophy,
yes.
your mindset, you're so much more relaxed.
What's the first thing we hear from wrestlers, MMA fighters, tough guys who come in here? We put a gi on them?
No, we don't put a gi on them. Where's your gi? No, I don't do gi. They don't even do gi. Forget putting a gi on. When we say gi, they already look away.
The guys come in here, wrestlers. Of course, some of the classes, if there's a group class and they have to put a gi on and they put it on, what's the first thing they say? They feel claustrophobic. They feel claustrophobic in a piece of cotton, in clothing. This is normal clothing. Imagine if they got in a street fight. They could be a tough wrestler. Yeah. If they fight a bigger opponent in a street fight, they're going to be trying to fight their clothing before they fight their opponent.
And sometimes a wrestler kind of makes sense. Wrestler. Submission grapplers.
Yes.
Which people don't want to say Jiu-Jitsu.
Guys who do Jiu-Jitsu,
submission grappling.
Who want to fight MMA, who don't want to claim Jiu-Jitsu, yes.
So submission grapplers, same thing. They don't want to even see a gi. But it makes sense, because if they wear a gi and we mount them, the chance of them escaping is 3%.
Yeah.
Then with no gi on, they can panic, go crazy, and it's 25% chance of escaping.
Yeah.
Done.
That's a good point. So people, when they gauge themselves by their survivability, when someone is gauging their effectiveness by how long they survive, like some of these submission grapplers or wrestlers, whatever, they much rather wear no gi. Because if they go get heat on, they can muscle their way out of a lot more things because they're slippery and it's sweaty and they can't be grabbed. So they can muscle and use lack of technique and just chaos to get out. Whereas, if you have a gi on, there's no faking it. You either know the defense, you know the escape, or you don't. And if you don't know it perfect, you're going to either expose yourself or exhaust yourself. So like you don't say, you become much more patient with the gi. And guess what? Patience is like the ultimate goal for all of us. Patience and execution at the right time. Okay? Gi no gi. Practice them both. And it'll be good to go.